Hey, I'm Tori Vore, Program Specialist at Elevate, and I'm here to tell you exactly what the Kolbe theory is. Now, the Kolbe theory is one that posits that you have natural, innate, inborn instincts that drive your behavior, that drive the actions that you take. Now, these are natural and born into you, and they're instinctual patterns that tell you that when you're striving towards something, how you're going to get that something done. So when we talk about instincts, often the idea of maternal instincts or survival instincts come into play, but these instincts are a little bit different. These are performance-driven instincts, and this is action that you take from those instincts. When we talk about the Kolbe theory, we need to talk about this idea of conation. Now, conation is an old term that's a relatively new topic. Philosophers like Plato and Aristotle were talking about this idea forever ago, but we're kind of just now putting it into practice with the Kolbe A index in particular. The Kolbe A index celebrates what your cognitive strengths are, and it measures and celebrates your MO, your mode of action, how you get things done when you are free to be yourself. Kathy Kolbe, the theorist behind the Kolbe system, says that success means that you have the freedom to be yourself. So let's go back to this idea of conation. When we talk about our personality and we talk about the way that we're made up and we talk about our wiring, we talk about three parts of the mind. The first one is the cognitive part of your mind. This is your intelligence, your skills, the experience that you have. You could test this with an IQ test. Then we talk about the affective part of your mind. This is your personality, your motivations, your values, your behaviors. This is everything that could change about you depending on the environment that you're in, but it's the motivation and personality side of you. Then we talk about this third part of the mind that's not talked about or brought up all that often, and it's the cognitive part of your mind. And this is where your volition of will comes from. This is where these action-based instincts come from. When we talk about the three parts of the mind, and we talk about how we're made up of all three of those parts, we engage all three parts when we're going about our daily lives and when we're trying to complete a task. Let's use the idea of buying a car, for example. When you want to buy a car, you ignite the cognitive part of your mind when you know the benefits behind why you need a car. So let's say that you know intelligently that you need a car to get from point A to point B. You know that a car has four wheels, that it drives, that it needs gas. These are all things that you know. Now, your affect kicks in when you have the motivation to buy that car. So you know that whether you need a new car or you need to trade in your old one or your old one has broken down, you have a motivation now to buy a car. When we start talking about your cognitive instincts, your cognitive strengths, that's when it kicks in when you actually go to buy the car. So how you go about doing that is where your cognitive strengths come into play. The Kolbe theory tells us that all humans, regardless of race, gender, sex, bias, education, all take action out of four action modes. Now, whether you counteract, react, or initiate through these action modes is what your MO would tell you. These action modes are, first of all, fact finder. This is how you gather and share information. The second one is follow through. That's how you organize and design information. The third is quick start. That's how you deal with risk and uncertainty. And finally, we have implementer, which is how you deal with space and tangibles, how you interact with the physical world. Now, all of us, regardless of our skills or education or capability, we all fall on a continuum along these four action modes in what we call zones of operation. Now, I said these three words earlier: react, counteract, and initiate. If you live in the counteracting zone, if your MO tells you that you counteract in a zone, which all of us do in some shape or form, it just means that you prevent problems. So let's say, for example, you're a counteracting fact finder. What that means is that you simplify information. You just need the bullet points. You don't need a lot of information to go forward into a project, to strive towards something, or to complete a goal. Let's say you fall on the other end of that continuum. You initiate with fact-finding. That means that you need a lot of details, research, historical evidence, data to move forward on a project. So let's say you fall in the middle. You're in that reacting zone. That just means that you don't need a lot of information, but you also need some information. It's a place where you can live as a bridge for the people around you, but also you can translate and explain for those around you as well. When we talk about follow through, we talk about people who initiate by designing systems, or those who counteract by finding shortcuts to those systems or fighting through bureaucracies. When we talk about quick start, we talk about those who initiate with quick start, who just jump in without needing to know all the details, without understanding the risk, or without caring about the risk, and will just try things. They're those who will experiment. And then you have people on the counteracting side of that scale, of that continuum, that protect things, that protect the status quo, keep things from changing just for the sake of change. They're there to protect things from being too uncertain. And then you have implementer. And those who initiate with implementer are those who need to build physical models. These are the people in our lives who are excellent at using their hands, using tools, building things, demonstrating. And on the other end of that continuum, you have the counteracting implementers. And those are the people who can envision, who can see things in their head without having to physically build them or touch them. Now, when you understand where you lie on this continuum, it gives you a series of numbers. Now, there's no right or wrong number. Just because you have a 10 in one section and a 1 in another section does not mean that you have a weakness and a strength in another section. What I love about the Kolbe is that it's all strength, regardless of what your number is. No number is better than another number, and every number contributes to who we are as a society. Every number helps us to be more productive, regardless of what that number looks like on a scale of 1 to 10, because it's a continuum. Because we need every single person on that continuum to get things done. When you find the understanding that you can find with the Kolbe A index, you can find freedom to be yourself, to do things that you want to do the way that you want to do them. So for me, as an initiating fact finder, I know that I need to research something before I jump into a project so that I understand it fully. I also know that I'm not going to necessarily create an exact system or a rigid system for that, but if someone sets a system in place for me, I'll follow it because I'm a reacting follow through. As an initiating quick start, also, I know that I can jump into something with ambiguities and be just fine with that. And as a counteracting implementer, I know that I can envision something in my head without being there in person to see it. These are all things that I've learned after understanding and taking the Kolbe index. I know these things because I've learned about it and I've learned how it plays out in my life, in my productivity. So when I'm striving towards something, when I want to complete a goal, when I want to complete a task, I know that these natural instincts will kick in, and if I follow the trajectory of the way that I am naturally made and naturally wired, I'll be more productive and more efficient. The Kolbe Index has amazing implications. It has amazing impacts on teams, on individuals, on couples, on families, for you to understand how you get things done and how the people around you get things done. It can help reduce conflict, reduce stress, reduce tension or strain. It's amazing to see what happens when you learn how the people around you operate. When you learn what their will, willing, and won't are, so that you can understand them better and work better together. The Kolbe system is truly a system that helps you learn synergy, helps you learn yourself, and helps you learn those around you. So if you want to know more information about the Kolbe, we'd love to start a conversation with you. Whether you want to take it to learn more about yourself, or whether you want to take it within your organization, we can have so many conversations about the way that we can help your organization improve your synergy, your productivity, your efficiency. If you're interested, reach out to us at wiring@elevateliveevents.com or reach out to us on our website. We'd love to start a conversation with you and customize whatever we can do as Kolbe certified consultants to meet your needs.